surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, I realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. This is all an illusion, and I'm willing to play.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, interviews with awakened masters as they share their quantum work with you. The Quantum Guide Show is produced by Karen Holton, creator of the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation, a free 9-step online course to give you the tips and resources you need to thrive. Karen lost and continues to keep off 178 pounds of surplus body weight as she made her dreams come true. Whether you are awakening to the ascension process or simply want a wiser, more efficient lifestyle, this program is for you. No strings attached. The Quantum Guide Show is brought to you in part by Zendome's Orgonite, Karen's unique brand of orgone generators, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. Find out how orgone generators work and what they can do for you. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out Karen's current selection, only available from her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. My very special guest today is Jordan Maxwell, and we're going to talk about illuminating the darkness. But first, let me tell you a little bit about this very wise man. Jordan's area of expertise includes astro-theology, sexual symbolism in world religions, foundations of modern-day religion, world mysteries, ancient and modern, ancient symbols and occult emblems, ancient sciences and technology, hidden Bible teachings and mysteries, the sun in the history of politics and religion, the story your church doesn't want you to know, and secret societies and their influence on world events. Jordan Maxwell has been the preeminent researcher in studies of the occult and religious philosophy for over 50 years, at great expense to his personal life. Jordan has never had a choice and was compelled to pursue his lifetime's work. Jordan Maxwell is an independent scholar in the field of occult religious philosophy. His interest in these subjects began as far back as 1959. He served for 3.5 years as the religious editor for Truth Seeker magazine, America's oldest free thought journal since 1873. His work exploring the hidden foundations of Western religions and secret societies creates enthusiastic responses from audiences all over the world. He has conducted dozens of intensive seminars, hosted his own radio talk shows, guested on more than 600 radio shows, and written, produced, and appeared in numerous television shows and documentaries, including 3 2-hour specials for the CBS TV network, as well as the internationally acclaimed 5-part Ancient Mystery series, all devoted to understanding ancient religions and their pervasive influence on world affairs today. Jordan's motive was never monetary profit or gain, but rather a relentless pursuit of truth, which made him easy prey for a multitude of conniving and ruthless opportunists looking to make a buck off of his lifetime's worth of work and sacrifice. Being a preeminent researcher and independent scholar did not leave time to pursue being the consummate businessman, and particular self-serving characters took advantage of this as opportunities to exploit. This caused Jordan severe economic harm and made it very difficult for Jordan to obtain the basic necessities required to sustain life, let alone pay for legal fees and defend his rights. But Jordan battled on for his name, image, and life's work, and now he continues with his research and work. Welcome, Jordan, to the Quantum Guide Show. How are you?
Well, thank you very much, Karen. I think I'm doing okay, but we'll see. My friend Steve Allen used to say, well, we're going to find out soon enough how I'm doing. Yeah, I'm delighted to be on the show with you.
Thank you. What
And
are you up to?
say it again.
What are you up to?
No good. I am now looking at some really arcane subjects.
Ooh, good.
And some of it's very, very controversial stuff that most people have never heard before. That's
Mhm.
what I do. I love prying into secrets that people have never heard before and things that people are not aware of. I don't know. I've just always gravitated toward the dark side of life. All the strange lies and deceptions that we've been told by government, religions, and institutions and military. And, it's just an incredible world we live in. We've just never been told the truth about much of anything. But I have been doing this kind of research since 1960, 59 and 60. We're talking about almost 60 years ago. And what got me started on this was because even as a child, I had an inquiring mind that was analytical. Even as an 8-year-old, I was analyzing words that adults would say and then watching their mannerisms, watching how they presented stuff to me and how they presented stuff. And I could tell there was something going on. I couldn't explain it, but I know there's something going on where adults are merely giving me their opinions. They don't know anything for sure. They're just giving me their opinions. Well, yeah, you could spend 5 lifetimes trying to get people's opinions all over the world. I'm not interested in people's opinions. I don't care about opinions. I want to know the facts. I want to know the truth. And so I realized at a very early age, I've got to do that kind of research myself to find the truth for me. And so I started very earnestly reading and studying and questioning everything. Let me give you an example of the kind of thing I'm talking about as an 8-year-old. When you're 8 or 9 years old in the Catholic Church, I was born and raised Catholic, and when you're Catholic at 8 or 9 years old, you have something called confirmation service, in which you are confirmed to be a Catholic at 8 years old. But at the confirmation service, the nuns told us in the school before, the day before, we were told as children, now tomorrow night at the confirmation service, all of you children are going to be there, and the bishop will be coming to town, and he's going to be there, so that means everybody, all the Catholics in town are going to be there, because the bishop will be in town. And so just remember that tomorrow night, the bishop, after the service is over, he might ask you, maybe not, but he might ask you if you have any questions about your religion. And if that happens, remember, you do not have any questions. You don't ask any questions. You keep that in mind. You keep your mouth shut. And so that next night, after the service was over, sure enough, the bishop did say to the children, he said, if any of you children have any questions, I'll try and answer them for you. And I stood up. I wanted everybody in the church to know who I am. I stood up and I said, yes, I have a question for you. I said, my father works with torches like a welder. And I said, and he's let me play with torches on occasions and hold them. So I know how bad they can be and how dangerous they can be. And I know what they can do. And I said, my question to you is, if I were holding a torch and it was on fire, and if an angel appeared to me, in the Bible, we see the angels on occasions will appear in a form that humans can see them. And if an angel appeared to me, could I take my torch and burn him?
or would it hurt him if I burned him as an angel? And he said, no, you can't burn an angel. I said, why not? He said, because you can't even see an angel, much less burn one. To burn something, you need something natural, like wood or paper or plastic or something to burn. You can't burn an angel. I said, why can't you burn an angel? He said, because angels are spirits, and you can't burn a spirit. And I said, well, then why am I concerned about going to hell where my spirit will burn forever if you can't burn a spirit? And he looked at me like a deer in the headlights. He'd never heard that before. And everybody in the church thought about that. For the first time in their life, they finally thought about something. And nobody had any answers. And the priest standing next to me said, you sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up. At that point, I realized that the bishop himself doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know how to answer anything. I'm only an 8-year-old, and I've stumped him. And I know there's something wrong with an 8-year-old stumping an adult who's supposedly well trained in his understanding. So after that, I started putting pieces of Alka-Seltzer in the holy water. I figured that will scare enough people. It frightened everybody. When I go into church on Sunday, I just drop Alka-Seltzer in the holy water. And it would scare everybody. And I started having fun with people and adults because I'd ask them questions they never thought of before, never even considered before. And that's what I do for now with my life is I ask questions that nobody's ever asked before, and then I find the answer and tell you what it is, whether you like it or not. And so that's what I do. I love talking about things that most people have never heard of before. And one of the most startling things I have learned in my life is how much we as humans do not know. That's really scary when you find out how much you really don't know about the world you live in. And one thing I have learned that was the most incredible story I have ever heard is how we today, you and I, are living in North America. The most incredible thing I have learned in the past few years is the fact that, I mean, this I knew back in the 1980s, but I'm just now starting to talk about it. But I've known this for quite a few years, that we are not, in North America, we are not living in the United States of America. We think we Americans say that we're living in the United States of America. In point of fact, any judge, federal judge, would tell you that's not true. You're not living in the United States of America. You're living in the United States, period. The United States is a corporation like General Electric, General Motors, Ford Motor Company, and Exxon Oil. It's just a company. It's a corporation. It has nothing to do with a republic. The republic was done away with back in 1871. The republic was dropped off, and there's no more United States of America republic. Why? Because after the Civil War in America, which was very bloody and very serious Civil War in America, the United States was many things, but united was not one of them. After the Civil War, we were not united. We tried to kill each other in this country. And so the politicians and the big money guys who run the planet with their money and their influence, they realize that we're not going to be united anymore. But what are you going to do with the people? There's millions of them. They want to live, they want to eat, they want to reproduce, they want to go to school, they want to do all these things that humans do. So if you don't have a republic anymore, there's no longer a United States of America republic, and we're not united. So what are you going to do? How are you going to handle this with all the people you got to take care of? And so it was decided that they would create a corporation, a company. And consequently, they created the United States Incorporate, in United States Company Corporation. And they said that if you are living in this corporation called United States, you are a corporate citizen. You are a member of the corporation. Therefore, you are a corporation yourself. You are a business. Thank God what you do is none of my business. And what I do is none of your business. Because why? Because we are a business, and you run your business the way you want. I'll run my business the way I want. And so, if I see you coming out of a restaurant with a guy one night, and I said, I call you the next day, I say, Karen, that man you were out with last night? He's bad company. Better watch out for him. He's bad company. And you say, mind your own business. We're
Mm-hmm.
getting married. He's going to be my partner. Partner, business,
Business,
company.
company. Mm-hmm.
We're talking commerce. We're talking business. That's why if you're going to get married, you got to have a license. It's a marriage license, like a driver's license. A
Mm-hmm.
license is a permit to do something which without that permit would be unlawful. And so if you're going to get married, you are a business. Thank God it's none of my business. But you are a business, and you're going to get married to another person who's also a business. That's Ford Motor Company doing business with General Electric. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Big corporations can work together as long as you get a permit. You better have your lawyers look into it and make sure everything is right with the government before you join forces. And so that's why you have a marriage license, because you are a business. And another classic example of how this stuff works is that when you buy a new car, you get something called an operator's manual. You get a little operator's manual telling you when to change the oil and how to drive it correctly and what to do and what not to do. It's called an operator's manual. Why? Because you're operating a vehicle. But if you're buying that car, that motorcycle, that Jeep, that truck, or whatever it is, 16-wheeler, it doesn't matter if it's got wheels and you bought it and you're buying it to do business. You're going to use it as a business. You're going to use that car as a cab. Now it's a business. It's not your private operator. You're not just a private operator. You're a business now. You're using it to make money. Therefore, if you're using wheels to make money, you are referred to by law as a driver. You are a truck driver, a bus driver. A driver is a corporate term for a bus driver, cab driver, truck driver. You're not an operator. Therefore, you don't have the operator's manual. You are a driver. And you have to have a license because it's a business. So you have to have a driver's license. The driver's license is a permit to make money with those wheels, which without that permit, you would be against the law about going out making money without telling the government. And so you have to have a driver's license. And so the whole idea is that everything in America, North America actually, in Canada too,
Mm-hmm.
everything is a business. If you're getting married, that's a business. But thank God who you marry is none of my business. And who I live with is none of your business. But it's nothing more than a business.
Can I
And
ask?
if it doesn't work out, you're not going to God, you're going to court. And you better bring your house with you and your car and anything else you own. Just a business.
Jordan, I want to ask you how that ties in with maritime law.
Maritime law goes back to before the Roman Empire existed. Before the Roman Empire existed, there was something called Maritime Admiralty Law.
Mm-hmm.
It was opposing something called the common law. The
Mm-hmm.
common law was the people who live on the land in common. And so the common law was the law of the land. And we've heard that term. Well, that's the law of the land. Law of the land is referred to as the law of the people who live on a particular piece of land. It's their customs, the way they live, the way they dress, the way they eat. And it's the way they live. So if you're going to go to another country, then learn how they live and start acting like it. Because if you're going to be in their society, they have certain customs and arrangements. And they don't do things the way you do in your country. So that you, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? And so that's why there are different kinds of law. There are two kinds of law on the earth, the law of the land and the law of the sea, or the law of water. The law of the land is different in every land. You can do things in South Africa you can't do in America. You can do things in Russia you can't do in Canada. Why? Because it's the custom of the people. The custom will not allow you to do things. If you want to do what you have to do, go back to your country and do it. Don't do it in their country, because you'll get in trouble. So it's the law of the land is the law of the people who live on the land. We don't live in water, we live on land. But the law of the land is in relation to the law of water, because that's the only two things we got on this earth is land and water, period. That's the only two things we got on the earth is water and land. So we got a law that covers the law of the land, the people who live on the land, and we got a law that covers the sea. The law of the sea is called maritime. Mara is water in Latin. So Maritime Admiralty means the law of water. And the law of water is the law of money. We say money goes through your hands like water. No, money is water by law. Money is considered a liquid asset. You either got the cash flow or you don't have the flow. That's what rivers do. That's why you put your money in a bank. It's called a river bank. Why? Because a river bank is where you put your money. Why? Because that's where what does a river bank do? A river bank directs the flow of the currency. Your money is a current. It comes in and goes out. Comes in and goes out. Just like the currents every day at the ocean. Comes in and goes out continually. My particular case, it just goes out. Very little comes in. But the point being is that's what your money is. It's a current. That's why it's called currency. And so, and that's based on the fact that your mother, when she gave birth to you, you came out of the mother's water. You were encapsulated inside of her in water. But when her water broke, you came out. And so, according to international laws that were regulated before the Roman Empire, said because you came out of your mother's water, you were a maritime admiralty. That's where we get the word admiralty, admiral of the Navy. A nave is N-A-V-E. Nave is the body of a church. All this goes back to the Roman Empire, the Roman Catholic Church. A nave as a body of a church. And so we have something called the United States Navy. Every country has a navy. A nave is a body of a church. And so it's a very interesting story about how the world actually, in point of fact, works. It doesn't work anything like you think it does. That's why people are in trouble continually. Why? Because they don't know how the world works. You know that you have to go to court, but you never thought about the fact that you play tennis on a court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Come on.
It's like hidden in plain sight, all of it.
All of it. It's just that we never thought about it until somebody calls your attention to it. I mean, why is it in Israel today, when you have a child in Israel, they're called the children of Israel? But for the rest of us, we have kids. We don't have children. We have kids. A kid is a baby goat. Why do we have kids while in Israel they have children, the children of Israel? It's because you need to understand how the people in power today in this world view you, How did they view Canadians and Americans? They view you as an animal, period. Because if you go to something called the Styles magazine, you can buy the Styles magazine from the United States Congress. The printing office in Washington, D.C. prints books, and you can buy this book. It's called the Styles Magazine of Chicago, Chicago Styles Magazine. The magazine is all the words that the federal government and state governments use and what they mean in a court, not what you think they mean. So if you really want to be a good lawyer, you better buy the Styles magazine and you better study it well. Because everything in that magazine, all those words, they tell you what the court sees those words to mean, not what you thought they meant. So that's why if you're going to be a lawyer, you better know what you're talking about when you go before a judge and use the right words, or you're going to lose. And so it's called Styles Magazine. Well, if you look in the Styles Magazine, you will find out that if you are a male or a female, the male and female designation is for an animal. Animals are referred to as male and female. But we are man and woman, and therefore, logically, we are supposed to be called masculine or feminine. That's the way it is written in the King's Old English 1,000 years ago. Males were masculine and women were feminine. And so today we're not called masculine or feminine, we're called male and female. Why? Because the dictionary, the Styles magazine says male and female are animals to be applied to dogs and cats. And so that's the way we are being viewed on your identification, your driver's license. It says male or female. You're not a woman. You're not considered to be a woman. You're considered to be an animal. You reproduce and you cause them money, and the government has to control you, just like adults have to control an animal. And so that's why you'll call a male and a female, because you're an animal. Most people don't know these things and the way the governments work and the way a court works. Why do you have a judge in a court? You have to have a judge in a court because the judge is wearing a black robe. When he walks out, everyone rises. Why? Because of the black robe. Black robes were always assigned to the planet Saturn. Saturn was called Lord of the Rings. Hollywood is still making movies called Lord of the Rings. Well, Saturn is Lord of the Rings. That's why the Saturn is today the god of the Jewish people. The Jews today around the world worship the planet Saturn, but nobody ever told them that but me. And so nobody knows. The Jews, when they go to synagogue, are worshiping the planet Saturn. And Saturn was referred to as El, E-L in Hebrew. But in point of fact, there is no such a thing as a Hebrew language. So when you have people tell you, well, you know, in the Hebrew it says this, this, and that, there is no such a thing as a Hebrew language. It's called Iberu or Iberu. It's not Hebrew. And there is no such a language as Hebrew. Hebrew is a people, a particular kind of people. And they speak a different language than we do, so we call it Hebrew. No, it's not Hebrew. It's a Phoenician language, Phoenician Canaanite language. So if you want to understand Hebrew correctly, go back and get a dictionary on Phoenician language, because the Hebrews were Phoenician. They were speaking the Phoenician language. But we call it Hebrew because we don't know what they're talking about, so we just call it Hebrew. No, it's Phoenician. That's where we get our word phonics, from Phoenician. We have Phoenician phonics, and the word phony also comes from Phoenician. It's phony, phonics. And so it's the trickery of words. There's a phony phonics, trickery of words. And if you don't know how to understand the words and the terms, you're going to live a life of horror and tragedy, because you have no idea in the world what the courts are saying, what the judges are saying, what the law is saying, what business is saying. You have no idea about how the world works. Therefore, when you have a baby, you don't realize the baby is considered a corporation, a company. And all companies, if you're a corporation, your name, in all corporate law, your name must be in all capital letters. If you sign your name upper and lowercase, that represents your blood and flesh and body. Upper and lowercase letters in your name represents your physical body. But if you look at your identification, your driver's license, insurance license, and your bills you get from the utility bills, they always must be in all capital letters, because all capital letters means you are a business. You are a corporation and a business, and therefore that's why you're paying taxes, because you're doing business. It's called the business of living. You have to pay your bills to live. So therefore it's a business, and therefore if you're a business, it's all capital letters. This is why when you go to a graveyard, you will see on the tombstones, the people buried there, their names are in all capital letters. Because upper and lowercase represents your body, but they're not here in their body. They are a defunct business. They used to be in business, but they're out of business now. Their company is gone, so they can't keep you company because they're gone. They don't exist anymore. So their names are in all capital letters. They are a defunct corporation. It's fascinating how much people don't know about the world they live in.
I agree. Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
How does, so far we've talked about how the countries are corporations. We've talked about maritime law. Can you lead that into how it fits with the economy? Because our ignorance is really good for business.
Oh, God, yeah.
Thank you for joining us for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to Karen's YouTube channel, click the like button, and share this show with your friends. Check out Karen's website at KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. All the links are available in the description box below. Until the next time, keep up the good work.
Splendor in endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul, I'll do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. This is all an illusion.